had to check the camera because as I was talking, I noticed some frame work coming up on the screen that I thought was possibly indicating I was getting low, the battery was getting low. So what I was describing last was, and it's still doing that, but I guess I'm just going to ignore it. Basically, it's putting a little frame of a box around my face here, which it hasn't done before until tonight. So, I was describing how right here, how there is this column of my neck, obviously, and on this side, I guess there is something that is sort of, that grooves in a little bit in that direction. But what's different about it is basically that on this side there is nothing that is sore and feels inflamed and like it's been, I don't know how to describe it, activated or turned on for a long time. On this side it basically feels, if I push on it, it feels like it's been lasered for a very long time or something. I don't know how to describe it. Lasered sounds strange, but it feels very sore, and yet if I push on it hard enough, sometimes it will stop what effect is being caused up here in my ear. So I think that there is some sort of an interaction between a spot down here and the implant, metal implant that vibrates and that they do things with over here. And then I do have something inside of my ear. And like I said, I've confirmed there's a magnetic pull in my ear if I put metal into my ear. So, so at any rate, when all those things are happening, it causes my entire side of my face and under my chin to be in extreme severe pain. It's not TMJ, I don't have it's not a problem with a cavity. And the other thing about the neck is that when I have had extreme and excruciating pain directly targeted only to my neck and not to my ear and my teeth at all, sometimes the only thing that has stopped that pain from occurring is that I find this knobby part. There are a couple of different knobby things in my neck, and they're not cysts. Again, I say that because they don't act or in any way resemble cysts. They are implants of some kind. And I've been able to sometimes push down very hard on one, and all of a sudden all of the pain, most of the pain that's occurring to the metal parts of my neck will stop. And otherwise, sometimes it will be vibrating or whatever, like kind of like the tooth. But I cannot feel the actual vibration on my neck when I touch it because there's skin and muscle in between. I can just sort of feel it inside. With my tooth, I can put my finger on top of my tooth and I can feel the vibration, and actually when it moves it sometimes causes like little bubbles of saliva and that kind of thing to also be bubbling because it's vibrating. And I don't know how to describe it. My entire tooth sometimes will be moving, and you know, anything that's liquid around that tooth will be reacting to that. So it's very crazy what they've done to me. And that is only one of many different things that they've done to me. When it's the thing that they used to torture me with all day today. So going back to, I wanted to describe that so that when I'm talking about how I am being tortured, that is giving you one description of what they've been doing recently. There are many different other things and forms of torture that they've utilized, and I can get into those at a later date and describe some of this other stuff later too. But I'm going to go back to the FBI and to the individuals that have potentially organized some kind of a gang rape or gang date rape by passing me around amongst themselves and trying to have me intoxicated or incapacitated first and then taking advantage of me. If I had migraines triggered while I was at a couple of their houses, it is possible that someone was triggering those migraines using the military for a specific purpose or reason. I'm not sure what that would be. Aside from causing such severe pain that I needed prescription painkillers. So, you know, what was the objective? To then attack me and call me a drug user? Or dependent upon painkillers? Or to create suspicion or doubt that I needed them? Because when I later did report the FBI for what they did, that was the first line of defense from the FBI. And I do believe that my meeting Raul Bujanda and Armando Garza was not the first time that I was connected to FBI. I believe that it is very likely that Josh Gatov, Robin Bechtold, or some other individual that I was connected to was already employed discreetly or not with the FBI or Department of Justice in some way. So that would make it a possibly an incentive to want to discredit me further in different ways. The other individual or other group that I had contacted the FBI about prior to meeting Raul Bujanda was James Whitey, but that was really not, I mean, I remember after I first blogged about that, all these Irish people came over to this town, seriously, in Coquille, Oregon. It was like they thought that I was to blame for Whitey, their man, going to prison or something. I mean, I have no idea. All I know is that I know what an Irish eye looks like, and there were a lot of Irish eyes in our town all of a sudden, and they did not look very nice. They were not nice ones. And with James Whitey, on my part, I had nothing to do with his arrest. Believe me, if I did, I'd probably be rich. And that will never happen because I don't know anything about him. And no one that I know knows anything about him. I thought after 9/11 occurred, I was looking up, I was sort of freaked out. I mean, obviously, like, I was worried that our entire country was going to blow up or something. So then I made it a habit of going to the FBI's 10 most wanted list, and some of the child kidnapping and the murders. They're basically their top most wanted lists, and I familiarized myself with all of their faces and names and everything and their stories, because I thought, well, just in case I run into someone who looks like someone, maybe I should report it, you know, for national security, because of course, you know, we all thought our country was going to possibly blow up, and maybe not everybody wanted to go online and look up all the 10 most wanted, but I was scared enough to do that, so that's what I was doing. One day there was this man jogging in my neighborhood, and I was like, oh my gosh, he looks just like that guy on the FBI most wanted list, James Whitey. And of course it wouldn't have been him, because this guy was really overweight and wearing a kind of a weird jogging suit, which I'm sure James Whitey never would be caught dead in. But his face and everything, I mean, like, honestly, maybe somebody just, they knew that I was looking all these people up, and they just had this guy who looked like him go by my neighborhood to kind of see what my reaction was. But he really did look like him. And so I had no idea that his profile said that he was in Europe or something. I had no idea that he was living in California, so, and that my maybe calling someone up and saying, this guy looks like James White. I mean, I had no idea that that might have gone somewhere, but I don't really think it did, because I don't think, because it wasn't him, and nobody contacted me about that. And after that, I was kind of mocked by the FBI, too. I think it was like a joke. And prior to that, that one thing of just thinking that I had seen maybe James Whitey jogging in my neighborhood, which is the only, as much as I said, and it was the only thing that I thought ever. Aside from that, in probably the year 2003, I think it was, before that, when my attorney for the who also worked for the Archdiocese, when he bailed on me at the last minute and I had to file my lawsuits on my own, I was forced to go to the Professional Liability Fund, which is the cover-up crew for the Oregon State Bar when their lawyers go awry. So one of their lawyers had had done something wrong by not giving me notice and just ignoring me and my claims, and giving me 2 weeks before my statutes were about to expire, after he'd signed a contract saying that he was going to file these lawsuits for me. And so I had to go to this organization called the Oregon State Bar. What do? They said, we'll call the PLF. It's the Professional Liability Fund. It's basically a liability fund that helps to prevent lawsuits against lawyers and raising their insurance premiums and that kind of thing. And I didn't realize at the time that if I'm reporting this lawyer as doing something bad, they work more in the interests of the lawyers that are part of their group than for the client who's having a problem with the lawyer. So the guy that I talked to was Dave Koch, or actually it was Cook, but I thought it was Koch. It's Koch. And I also spoke with an attorney there by the name of Mary Cooper. And both Cook and Mary Cooper were the ones to handle the entire thing. I should have received a lot more assistance and money than they gave me, but they tried to satisfy me with the $1,000 check, which was, absolutely nothing, and I had to go and try to do everything myself on $1,000, which was really nothing. And how I did it is pretty much amazing. I'm pretty sure that nobody believed that I was going to go anywhere with that. I think they thought I would just pocket it, actually. Mary Cooper was not a nice person. She was not nice to me. And Cook was agreeable at first, and then he wasn't very nice either. And then I started to have some doubts about the PLF, and I was doing research for my cases to try to file my lawsuits. And I just randomly, on the Oregon State Bar site, came across a case that was filed against the PLF. And it was alleging that the Professional Liability Fund was acting as a shell, quote-unquote, shell corporation, and was committing fraud against citizens because they were not disclosing how they were tied and connected to the Oregon State Bar. So other lawyers who know what the standards of the law are had raised this question on their own. And then I happened to come across the case, and I read about it, and I thought, this is really weird. This is definitely sounds like a shell corporation and fraud to me. So then I called the FBI, and I brought that up to the FBI. Well, I'm sure that the FBI has people, the FBI lawyers also have to be associated with the Oregon State Bar, don't they? So it's not like, lawyers that work for the FBI are members to the FBI State Bar. No, they are members of the Oregon State Bar, and they are in good contact